Hello guys and gals, it's Soulfax here and welcome to another War Thunder video. I'm back from my vacation. It was awesome. I did absolutely nothing for a week and I ate a lot of food, and that's what vacationing is all about. But this video is also relatively celebratory because we are soon going to be reaching the 400 subscriber mark. We are currently sitting on 399, so if somebody will subscribe, I will be eternally grateful to you. I probably won't know who you are because 400 subscribers is a lot of people. But anyhow, this is an arcade battle match. Yes, I know, something that I usually don't do. But I was very surprised by this match. I was intrigued, actually, by the title of this replay, which was been titled How to Comet. Now, the Comet is one of those tanks that I've never actually mastered because it's just an upgraded Cromwell, but it fights much better opposition than the Cromwell fights, which means that you need to exploit every little advantage that you have, which Mr. Helmet Potato, not Helmet Potato, what am I saying, Mr. Heinz Ketchup G, which is the name of the person who sent me this replay, is going to demonstrate. Now, the biggest strength of the Comet are two of its biggest features. What kind of sentence was that? I don't know. Now, firstly, the 77mm cannon that it's equipped with fires APDS shells, which can reach the velocity of 1,400 meters per second, and secondly, the turret has two overlapping 100mm of plate of armor. Okay, another weird sentence. But anyhow, the turret is very strong and the cannon is very good, as you can see currently, because Mr. G, okay, we're gonna call him G, I again forgot your name, but I know there's a G in it, is fighting M4A3 of some sorts. It is a 76mm equipped German, and he's also fighting a KV-2. Both of these tanks have the potential to penetrate his frontal turret armor, if they're very lucky. But as you can see, Mr. Helmet Potato... And then again, Mr. G is using his very weak reverse speed to throw after M just a little bit slightly, and as you will see, he still hasn't been penetrated, although he has received a couple of frontal penetrations. Now, like I mentioned, the title of this replay, or at least how Mr. G titled it, was How to Comet. He also sent me a couple of other Comet videos that I probably in the future will make videos of, but because this is a very short replay, I will keep it to one video because I don't have a lot of time. Now, how I got sidetracked so far with that sentence, I almost went to Germany. But what I was trying to say is that the way you play a Comet is simple. This. The Comet's biggest strength is its turret armor and the fact that its cannon can penetrate anything at its tier and even a tier above it. Now, the cannon's got 224mm of penetration at 10 meters, which goes down to around 180mm of penetration at 500 meters, which is still impressive and still sufficient to penetrate even Tigers, IS-1s and all the other top tier 3 tanks. And secondly, the turret of the Comet is only 100mm thick, but there are two plates around the gun mantlet which partially cover the gun mantlet itself, which means that in some cases, as you might have witnessed in this replay, you can easily bounce even shots from Tigers, but you really shouldn't count on it. The best way to play the Comet is exactly like Mr. G is playing it. Only try to expose the most top part of your turret, so the enemies have absolutely no other option than shooting at the parts that are overlapping, which are 200mm of armor. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but what if there's no place to actually get hauled down in? Well, there's the problem. The Comet isn't the most low-profile tank. You might have seen earlier, well, he was passing a couple of tanks at spawn, that the Comet is actually a relatively high-profile tank, which means that finding actually decent hull-down positions isn't all that easy. It also helps the fact that it's got 12 degrees of gun depression like most other British tanks, but still, it's not an easy tank to find a hold-down position in. And the second biggest issue with this tank is that, other than the fact that it's got the most atrocious reverse speed in the world of only 2 kilometers per hour, that's even worse than a fucking Panther, the cannon, while it shoots amazing high velocity, high penetration APDS shells, these APDS shells are very moody. And what I mean by moody is sometimes they one-shot easily anything that you shoot at, and other times you need to put 5 and 6 shots into an enemy tank and specifically snipe each individual crew member. Which is not acceptable considering these are 77mm shells. I mean, you should at least kill something in 4 shells, not in 5 and 6 shells. So, now that you have the rundown of the various flaws and perks of playing a Comet, you might have noticed that Mr. G has already managed to pick up an amazing 5 kills in this match. And I say amazing because 5 kills even in arcade battles is a lot. That means you've killed 5 tanks without losing one of his own tanks. And now, after like is around 5 minutes of this match, he has only now been frontally penetrated by T3485, who's gotten so lucky because that's like a kilometer away from him, which means that his penetration should go down a lot, but apparently was still sufficient to go to the front of his turret. Luckily for Mr. G, he didn't go down here. He's still fighting with spirit against the capitalist wagon, as I like to call it. I don't call it that. I really don't call it that. But anyhow, he's managed to get him pinned down here. He set him on fire, which means that T-3485 will spend some time trying to put the fire out. And when he puts the... or no, he's going to be firing exactly after he put the fire out. Luckily for Mr. G, he managed to put in a second shot in and deflect that first shot, which means that he's got the T-3485 pinned down in an open position, which means that one more shell takes care of him and nets him his 6th kill in this match. Now his next enemy here is a KV-220, one of those tanks that I will always regret not owning because, well guys, you know, some of us actually do have real life jobs and we cannot spend 6 to 8 hours a day grinding for these vehicles. And yes, I'm over exaggerating, but I don't care, I'm still salty about not being able to get this vehicle. Anyhow, the KV-2, not the KV-220, yes, the KV-220, which has got a modified version of the same 85mm shell cannon that is equipped on the T-3485, has managed to escape Mr. G's rat as he's pummeled by artillery and one of his tracks gets destroyed. He's going to be jumping in this moment in what appears to be some sort of British bomber. Now, I don't know what plane this is, really. It might be a Wellington, a Sterling, or a Lanchester. I really have absolutely no idea, nor do I care, because British bombers are not something that I like. As you will see in a second, he is besieged by a couple of enemy fighters, which are very annoying and are going to get him killed here in just a second, as I finally, yes there it is, managed to turn around the camera and show you the slaughter that is happening on his tail. Naturally, the tail gunners of Mr. G's, whatever this is, did absolutely nothing and he got himself completely annihilated. But jumping back to his tank here, as he is still fighting this KV-220, he's gonna get himself a very difficult opponent to deal with. So Mr. G successfully eluded his wannabe killer while he's getting pummeled by just some random flak from the sky. That's not flak, that is just MG fire from the sky. And he's gonna drop down some artillery on the town. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen now. I know that in just a couple of seconds he's going to be engaging somebody and I don't know who. I usually do a good job of actually watching these replays very thoroughly and expecting what happens on the screen. But now I don't, and for some reason suddenly his barrel is broken. What's going on with this replay? I don't know. The replays in War Thunder have been messed up for quite some time. And now magically, his barrel is intact. Okay, so he's engaging what appears to be an SU-152 as he peeks around the corner here and he makes a fatal mistake. At KV-220, as he's been dueling with twice already, decides to flank him. Yes, he got flanked by a heavy tank. He tries to take shots at him, but unfortunately he gets shot in the side in 3, 2, 1, now. Oh my god, I got it. That was so random. Yeah, told you, KV-220. I'm so good at this. I'm so good at making YouTube videos. Yay, praise me. Although the comet is dead, we mourn its souls, but fear not, this video is not yet over. My electrifyingly, amazingly professional commentary will go on for just a couple of more minutes. Mr. G spawns in his second tank. This is the Thunderbolt. It has some letters and numbers before the Thunderbolt part, but I don't know what they are. So he looks across the lake, he notices a stug, he puts one shot into the stug, and while he aims for the second stug, arcade battles happen. Yes, a KV-2 shot him from across the freaking lake. That's arcade battles for you. Anything is possible and Soviet bias isn't real. So to round out this glorious replay, Mr. G spawns in what is supposed to be the best tank in War Thunder, but is actually a piece of shit. The Churchill Mark 7 is a piece of shit, and anybody who says otherwise is an idiot and should stop playing this game. So after taking a shot at the KV-2, he decides to focus his efforts towards this Stug. Now, one of the things that he failed to realize, the Stug has 80mm of frontal armor, and the 30mm of frontal armor is sloped at a very high degree, and it's got additional tracks over it, which means that not in a million years will Mr. G manage to penetrate him. And the same goes for the Stug. The Stug has 130 something mm of penetration at 10 meters, and less than 100 mm of penetration at around 500 meters, which means, okay, those numbers must be wrong because I haven't played Germans in a while, I'm sorry. Yeah, their stug can penetrate him, he can penetrate their stugs, and this is not a very interesting engagement. But it's going to be over very quickly because a friend that Mr. G has managed to not kill in the past will be reappearing and making himself again a nuisance with a very big cannon. Can you guess who it is? If you guessed the KV-2, you would have been right. I'm just trying to spend time because there's absolutely nothing to talk about here. Where is it? There it is. Yes, he got killed by KV-2. And again, from the same absolute position. And again, making an amazing shot in the only possible place where he could have penetrated Mr. G. In the top of the turret. Because Gaijin physics work as it is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I apologize to Mr. Heinz Ketchup G for making a mockery out of this video. I hope he enjoyed it. Some little humor that I managed to put into it. My name has been Soulfax, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.